I'm here to share a layout that I created with my August 2019 Counterfeit Kit Challenge kit. The title of it is Bubble Fun at the Science Spectrum. This is a two-page layout that I created for the Allison Davis 6x6 layout challenge that she's doing. It's like a mini class that she's got over on Facebook and through the Scrapbook Generation site. You had to register for it early on. I'm not sure if it's still available. I'm sure the sketches are. You could probably buy the sketches. But as you can see, I'm just going along and working my way through, and I'm following the sketch fairly closely on here. I'm not gonna, you might catch a glimpse of it there on my phone, but I'm not gonna show you the sketch exactly because it's paid content. You know, I paid for that class and I'm not going to give it away for free. Anywho, so I'm going through here and I'm gluing my papers down. Now, this was a 6x6 class. I did not start off with 6x6 papers. I started off with 12x12 papers, and so I'm using them on this layout. And I'm just cutting them down to the 6x6 size, and that works for me. I'm all about using what I have. I had this kit that I had put together in August of 2019, and I wanted to get it used. The papers in this collection are from SEI, and you can see as I go through them, they're pretty bright, fun colors, and they're perfect for a day with my grandkids at the Science Spectrum. Now, I have my two granddaughters, Zoe and Shawnee, that are at the Science Spectrum. Their birthday is in October, and when it's that time and I can get them both to my house, we like to do stuff together. And one of those things is going to the Science Spectrum. It's just a kids' museum. They love the place. And I love taking them there because it's always fun to go around and see all the fun different things and all the hands-on stuff the kids can do. Now, this paper that I have here with all those little squares, that was an entire sheet of paper with those little squares on it, and I just cut it down, cut some sections off, and it was actually perforated. So you can see there, it had lots of little bumps on it, so I'm just cutting that down a little bit more to get rid of all those excess bumps. Does that bother anybody else? I'm kind of weird about that. If there's a branding strip on paper that is perforated and you can pull it off, if it's got bumps left, yeah, not my favorite. And I'll end up cutting them off, um, even if I make it a little bit shorter than what it needs to be. So here I'm just going to use that as the border between the upper portion and the lower portion of the layout. And you can see I'm just going across here and laying that out. And of course, I'm not getting it perfectly straight, and I want it perfectly straight, so I put my rulers on both sides to kind of go across there. Whether it comes out perfectly straight, you know, I usually eyeball this kind of stuff. I don't know why I'm being so persnickety. Yeah, but I am. And I'll get this other one laid down on the opposite side as well. Now this layout I think I was doing an online crop. For the Yes Please scrapbook group over on Facebook. She has a group over there. It's Karen Yeagle, and she has a YouTube channel, and she does online crops a couple of times a month in the evening and then a couple of times during the day. And so it just so happened that I could participate, and while I was doing that, I was creating this layout. And so I was having a lot of fun participating with the other ladies, chatting with them as the crop went along. You can see these papers on this layout have some glitter to them, some shine, and I love that about this layout. And I wish I had spread it across both pages. I wish instead of, you know, on the second page, instead of using two flat papers with no glitter, I wish I had chosen one of the other papers with glitter. So you see this one with the polka dots and the check on it, or the gingham. You have one shiny, one flat, and this one are the purple and the blue are both flat. And here I'm just trimming that paper down because, you know, it was The papers that I had to create the bottom portion, the 6x6 portion, were not perfectly cut. They were from the scraps that I had cut for a previous layout, and so yeah. So this layout calls for a lot of photos, and I actually managed to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 photos on this 2-page layout. And I follow along fairly closely with the sketch on putting the photos down. I don't recall exactly how many the original sketch called for. You know, I was just kind of winging it to get the photos that I wanted down. I had quite a few photos from this day, and enough to split them up into 2 or 3. Oh gosh, I've got quite a few layouts, enough to go in both of their albums. I don't necessarily do albums for the girls themselves. I did for their first year, I think, for each of them. But since then, I do family albums. So my oldest granddaughter, I do albums for her dad, and then he can decide what to do with them at whatever point. And then for my middle granddaughter, Zoe, of course, I do those for her dad, and he can decide what he wants to do with those albums. Anywho, so yeah, I'm just rocking along. I had some tape issues. I had to refill my adhesive, and I had some other issues that I had to cut quite a bit of footage out, but you know, it's wasted time watching me fuss with the adhesive, so you didn't miss anything. Um, yeah, and I'm just taking some scrap papers and putting these photos down. The ones on the bottom, I'm going to edge with white cardstock or back with white cardstock. So it gives them a little bit of pop against the colors. And yeah, and they're all kind of zigzaggy across the bottom. And I'll make it work. That one was a photo that I was going to use down at the bottom, and I think rather than that, I opted to put it at the top. And so I just cut it down. And the day at the Science Spectrum, it was all about bubbles and creating bubbles. And so the kids were able to play with bubbles. They were able to make what looks like a witch's brew and create a bubble over the top. And when you burst that bubble, um, the cloud vapor rolled out of the bowl and across the table, and of course down the table. I don't know what it was, if it was CO2 or what, but the kids really had a great time playing with it. Here I'm going to use a couple of tags that were in the kit, and they are solid color on one side, pattern on the other. And I'm going to put them up there at the top to cover that edge of the photo. I could have cut that photo off, but I opted to just leave it as a 4x6. But I don't know who that kid is in that corner, so I'm going to cover him up. Not the first time I've ever done that, won't be the last either. Sometimes you get, you know, excited to take photos, and rather than being very careful and zooming in on your kids, you sometimes pick up some extra stragglers in the photos as well. I know you guys know um, how that works because we all do it, and then we have to figure out ways to crop those people out or cover them up, creatively cover them. And so that's what I'm doing here. Now these tags already had the twine on them, which is fine. It's a cream color twine. I almost wish I had changed it out to a white twine to match the background a little bit more, because those are stark colors. They're no cream base to those colors in that paper collection. It's all bright whites. So these are some of the shorter tags that I'm going to use down here on either side of the photo. And I'm sorry, the one photo or the one layout, the left side of the layout, for whatever reason, I had this layout pulled pretty closely to me. And so you're missing out on seeing the bottom portions of the layout. But believe me, you're not missing a whole lot. And you'll see here in a little bit when I move everything around. You'll get a better look at them. And at the end of the video, because I lost a little bit of footage at the very end, you will see photos, close-ups of the different areas on the layouts, and you'll see you didn't miss much by having it cut off, if you will. I love when I can get photos onto a layout and call it done. You know, that's the most exciting thing to me, is having that process done and having those photos that I wanted to get scrapbooked into albums and the stories told. Now, I don't do a whole lot of journaling on here because the photos really do the journaling themselves. I mean, they tell the story. I don't need to add a lot to it, you know, other than tell where we're at and who's with us and why, basically. Who, what, where, when, and why. Is that what you're supposed to put in your journaling? Yeah, so there you go. I rearranged it a little bit. Now I'm going to work on my title. And I think on the sketch it called to have it over to the side maybe, and I opted to put it in the space below those two photos on the right at the bottom, or sorry, on the left at the bottom. And I love this alphabet. It is one from Sticko, and it is silver glitter, and I have used it a ton, and it goes so well with this paper collection that I'm using. Now, this is a really old paper collection from SEI, and I bet it's probably at least 10 years old, and I've had it in my stash for probably that long. They used to have a kit club. I don't know if they still do, but every month you could subscribe to a was it scrapbooking and card making, or they would alternate months. One month you would get a scrapbooking kit, the next month you would get a card making kit. And I think they had some other project kits like album kits and stuff along the way. And then when I would go to convention in Arlington, Texas for the Great American Scrapbook Convention, they always had a booth that, you know, they would sell these big kits or come onto the convention floor late in the evening when the crops were scheduled and have just amazing sales. So I have tons of SEI product that I'm working my way through. That is one of the collections that does not fit under my desk. And so I want to try and get as much of that used up as possible. I don't even know. Are they still in business? Yeah, I don't know. I don't get emails from them anymore. I stopped most of the emails from all the different manufacturers. So even if they are in business, I don't get the emails from them anymore. Anywho, so I'm about to the end of where I have recorded. You can see I'm going through and I'm going to write science, or I started to put down science spectrum, and I remembered I had bought a tag, a little patch, if you will, that I wanted to use when I created these layouts, and that's where I put my ephemera up in that bin over my desk. So I pull that out. Yeah, and I think we're about to the end. Anyway, stick around and you can see all the photos of the close-ups. Yeah, I appreciate you guys sticking around and watching my videos and supporting my channel. I really appreciate that. And I will see you guys on the next video. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.